Jack Morris looked at the screen again. The numbers didn't make sense. He tapped the glass display, wondering if the machine was broken. "Hey Ryan, come look at this," Jack called to his friend across the small moon base room. Ryan Clark pushed away from his workstation and floated over in the low gravity. "What's up?" "Found something interesting. These readings from the dark side. They're not normal." Jack pointed to the jagged lines on his screen. "This isn't just space dust or a small meteor hit." Ryan frowned. His eyes scanned the data quickly. As the best engineer at Lunar Base Delta, he knew every system and reading by heart. "You're right. That looks like movement from inside the moon." Jack ran a hand through his short brown hair. 6 months stationed on this forgotten base had been boring until now. "We should tell Commander Bell." "And say what?" "That the moon is alive." Ryan laughed. "She already thinks we're going crazy from isolation." The small radio in the corner crackled. "Lieutenant Morris, this is Commander Bell. Your shift ended 20 minutes ago. Get some rest." Jack pressed the talk button. "Ma'am, we're picking up unusual seismic activity on the dark side. Request permission to investigate." The radio was silent for a moment. "Negative, Lieutenant. We have orders not to venture beyond the mapped sectors without clearance from Earth. File a report and I'll review it in the morning." Jack looked at Ryan with raised eyebrows. Ryan nodded slightly. "Understood, Commander." Morris out. Jack switched off the radio. "So, how fast can you get the rover ready?" Ryan grinned. "Already on it." 30 minutes later, they were bouncing across the lunar surface in the small exploration vehicle. Stars shone brightly above them in the black sky. Earth hung like a blue jewel in the distance. "If Bill finds out, we're both cleaning toilets for a month," Ryan said as he drove. Jack checked the radar. "The signal is getting stronger, just over that ridge." The rover climbed slowly up the dusty slope. When they reached the top, both men fell silent. Below them was a large crack in the moon's surface. It wasn't natural. The edges were too straight, too perfect. "That wasn't on any map," Ryan whispered. Jack checked his oxygen levels. "Let's take a closer look." They parked the rover and walked carefully down to the crack. It was about 6 feet wide and descended into darkness. "I'm picking up faint energy readings," Ryan said, checking his handheld device. "And the air pressure? That's impossible." Jack shined his light into the crack. The beam revealed a tunnel that angled downward. The walls were smooth, like polished metal. "We're going in," Jack decided. "This is a terrible idea," Ryan said, but followed anyway. The tunnel went deep into the moon. After walking for 15 minutes, they entered a massive chamber. Their lights couldn't reach the ceiling or the far walls. "What is this place?" Ryan's voice echoed. Jack's light caught something reflective. He walked closer. It was a massive wall of dark metal. As they followed it, the wall curved upward. It wasn't a wall. It was the side of a ship, a massive ship buried inside the moon. "This can't be human," Ryan said, touching the strange metal. "No one has built anything like this." Jack found markings etched into the surface. They looked almost like Earth letters, but twisted and changed. He reached out to trace one of the symbols with his finger. The marking lit up with a blue glow. Then the next symbol lit up, and the next, like a wave spreading across the hall. "Jack, what did you do?" Ryan backed away. A deep humming filled the chamber. The floor vibrated under their feet. "I don't know," Jack said. A panel slid open in the hull. Light poured out from inside the ship. On Earth, an astronomer named Lily Bennett looked through her telescope at the moon. She frowned and checked her equipment. Something was wrong with the image. The moon had a faint red glow. "That's not possible," she whispered to herself. But as she watched, the color deepened slightly. The blood moon was beginning to rise. Jack and Ryan stood frozen as the light from inside the ship washed over them. The humming grew louder. "We should go," Ryan said, tugging at Jack's arm. "Right now." But Jack couldn't move. The light pulled at him like it was calling his name. "Just a quick look inside," he whispered. They stepped through the opening. The inside of the ship glowed with soft blue light. The walls were covered with the same strange symbols that Jack had touched. The air felt thick and warm. "This is impossible," Ryan said, checking his oxygen meter. "We should need our helmets, but there's breathable air in here." Jack removed his helmet slowly. The air smelled like metal and something sweet. "Let's call it Nemesis," he said. "What?" "The ship. Let's name it Nemesis." Ryan shook his head. "You don't name things you're not keeping, Jack." They walked deeper into the ship. The corridors opened into a large room with a raised platform in the center. Jack stepped onto it. The floor lit up under his feet. A voice filled the room, but not through their ears. It seemed to speak directly into their minds. "User recognized. Genetic profile acceptable. Initiating neural connection." Jack gasped as images flooded his mind. Stars exploding. Planets burning. Strange ships fighting across the darkness of space. "Jack!" Ryan shouted, pulling him off the platform. The images stopped. I saw everything," Jack said, his voice shaking. 3 days later, the moon base was filled with new people. Military officials from Earth had arrived on emergency transports. Commander Bell stood at attention as Colonel Franklin Lewis inspected the base. "You should have controlled your people, Commander," Lewis said coldly. "This facility has been compromised." Next to him, Dr. Susan Moore checked readings on her tablet. "The energy output is increasing," she said. "The ship is repairing itself." Bell looked at them with narrowed eyes. "You knew about this," she said. "You knew there was something in the moon." Lewis didn't answer her question. "Where are Morris and Clark? We need to question them." Jack and Ryan sat in a small meeting room, guarded by soldiers. They had been kept apart for 2 days, asked the same questions over and over. The door opened, and Dr. Moore walked in. "Lieutenant Morris," she said, "I need to know exactly what happened when you touched the ship." Jack looked tired. Dark circles hung under his eyes. "I already told the others." "Tell me," she insisted. Jack sighed. "It was like the ship recognized me. It showed me things. A war in space, an enemy that ate whole planets." "And it spoke to you?" "Yes. It called itself Guardian. It said it was created by a race called the Precursors." Dr. Moore's face went pale. "Did it mention the Void?" Jack looked up sharply. "How do you know that name?" Moore set down her tablet. On the screen was a photo of ancient stone tablets covered in symbols similar to those on the ship. "Every major civilization on Earth has legends about a sleeping weapon beneath the moon," she said. "Warnings not to wake it. Stories about a great darkness called the Void that would return when the moon turns red." Ryan pointed at the tablet. "You've known about this for years. Why keep it secret?" "Because it scared us," Moore admitted. "All world governments agreed to leave it alone." Jack suddenly grabbed his head and groaned in pain. "What's wrong?" Moore asked. "It's talking to me," Jack said through gritted teeth. "Guardian. It's in my head." "What is it saying?" Moore leaned forward. "It's saying we woke it too late. The Void is already coming." On Earth, Lily Bennett was no longer the only person watching the moon. People gathered in streets and parks, pointing at the sky. The news showed images from around the world. The moon glowed a deeper red now, visible even during the day. Religious groups claimed it was the end times. Scientists had no explanations. Military forces went on high alert. In a secure underground facility, top officials watched live feed from the moon base. The giant warship was now fully exposed, rising from the lunar surface like a dark mountain. "How bad is this?" the president asked her advisors. No one answered. They didn't have to. The blood moon rising told them everything they needed to know. Humanity was no longer alone, and whatever was coming wasn't friendly. Jack sat alone in his quarters, eyes closed, listening to the voice in his head. Guardian spoke in clear words now, no longer just sending flashes of images. The precursors were the first advanced race in this galaxy, Guardian explained. They built great cities among the stars. They created me to protect their worlds. From the void, Jack asked in his mind. Yes, the void was once like you, organic life. But they changed themselves, became something hungry and endless. They consume all matter, all energy. Whole stars disappeared into their darkness. A knock at the door broke Jack's connection. Ryan entered, looking worried. They're planning to take control of Nemesis, Ryan said quietly. Lewis wants to use it as a weapon against other countries on Earth. Jack stood up quickly. He can't. He doesn't understand what this ship really is. Then make them understand, Ryan urged. Tell them what Guardian has shown you. Jack tried. For hours, he sat with Lewis, Moore, and Bell, explaining the war between the precursors and the void. How the precursors created Nemesis as their last hope. How they sealed it away when they realized its power might destroy reality itself. Lewis listened with cold eyes. So this ship is the most powerful weapon ever created, he said when Jack finished. And it responds to you. That's all you got from what I said? Jack asked in disbelief. The void is coming. We need to prepare. We are preparing, Lewis said, by taking control of this asset. Jack looked at Moore, hoping for support. She looked down at her hands. The ship activated a beacon when it woke up. Jack tried again. The void heard it. They're coming here. More reason to master this technology quickly, Lewis replied, standing to end the meeting. You'll help us, Lieutenant, or face charges of treason. That night, Ryan snuck into Jack's room with a small device in his hand. I found something, he whispered. I've been scanning deep space. Look at this. He turned on the device. It showed a star map of nearby systems. Several stars were blacked out, as if they no longer existed. These were all normal last month, Ryan said. Now they're just gone. Whatever it is, it's moving toward us. Fast. Jack felt cold fear in his stomach. How long? At current speed? 2 weeks, maybe less. The next day, Lily Bennett called an emergency meeting at her observatory on Earth. Fellow astronomers from around the world joined by video. I've confirmed it, she told them. Stars are disappearing in sequence. This isn't a natural phenomenon. An older astronomer spoke up. The military has put a gag order on this information. They're saying it's equipment malfunction. It's not, Lily insisted. Something is coming. She looked out the window at the moon, now glowing like a drop of blood in the afternoon sky. People outside wore dark glasses to look at it. Some prayed. Others partied as if the world was ending. Maybe it was. On the moon, Jack found Commander Bell alone in the control room. I believe you, she said before he could speak. About the void, about the danger. Lewis and Moore are following orders from people who only care about power. Help me, Jack said. Guardian says I can fully access Nemesis if I... Bell shook her head. I've been relieved of command. They're sending me back to Earth tomorrow. Jack felt despair wash over him. Then Bell pressed something cold into his hand. A key card. Access code 7734, she whispered. It will get you to Nemesis without escorts. I never gave this to you. That night, Jack and Ryan used the key card to reach the ship. They brought 2 friends who believed their warnings. Peter Grant from Communications and Dr. Olivia Wright, who had examined Jack after his contact with the ship. Guardian welcomed them inside Nemesis. The ship hummed louder now, fully awake. I have bad news, Guardian told them through Jack. The first wave of Void Scouts has entered your solar system. They have already consumed your outposts on the edge planets you call Pluto and Neptune. Can we fight them? Jack asked. Yes, Guardian replied. But Nemesis needs a pilot. A human mind to guide it. I'll do it, Jack said. Not so simple, Guardian warned. The process would change you. You might lose what makes you human. Jack looked at his friends. They were afraid, but they nodded in support. We don't have a choice, Jack said. Show me what to do. As they moved deeper into the ship, the moon above them pulsed with red light. The blood moon was rising higher, and time was running out. Earth was in chaos. The blood-red moon hung in the sky day and night now. News channels showed crowds gathering in churches, mosques, and temples. Others filled the streets with signs about the end of the world. In Washington, the president faced angry leaders from other countries. You've been hiding this ship for decades, said the Russian ambassador. American secrets might doom us all. We all agreed to leave it alone, the president replied. Every nation signed that pact in 1979. And now it's too late, the Chinese representative said. Our scientists confirm objects moving through the solar system at impossible speeds. On screens around the room, satellite images showed Neptune. A dark shadow covered half the planet. It wasn't a shadow of night. It was something eating the planet itself. Back on the moon, Colonel Lewis stormed into the control room. Morris is gone, he shouted. Find him now. A young soldier looked up from his screen. Sir, we have a bigger problem. Look at this radar. The screen showed hundreds of objects moving past Jupiter, heading toward Mars. Earth ships stationed near Mars began firing, but their weapons did nothing against the darkness. Inside Nemesis, Jack lay on a metal table. Strange lights moved over his body. His friends watched nervously. This will hurt, Guardian warned in Jack's mind. Your body must change to connect with ship systems. Will I still be me? Jack asked. Parts of you. The rest will become something new. Jack nodded. Do it. Pain shot through Jack's body. He screamed as his back arched off the table. Ryan and Peter had to hold him down. Dr. Olivia checked his vital signs, her face pale with worry. His heart rate is too high, she said. We need to stop this. We can't, Ryan answered. Look outside. Through a window in the ship, they could see Earth forces engaging the first void ships near Mars. The battle was not going well. Earth ships exploded one after another. The void moved steadily forward. Jack's skin glowed with blue light. His eyes opened, but they weren't his eyes anymore. They shone like stars. Jack, Peter called. Are you still in there? Jack's voice sounded strange, like two people speaking at once. I am here. I am also part of Nemesis now. I can see everything. He sat up. Blue lines like circuits ran under his skin. The void will reach Earth in 6 days, he said, unless we stop them. Jack stood and walked to a wall. It opened at his touch, revealing a room they hadn't seen before. In the center was a chair surrounded by floating screens of light. The control room, Jack said. I need to prepare for battle. Dr. Olivia grabbed his arm. Jack, your body is changing at the cellular level. I don't know if you can go back to being human after this. Jack looked at her with his glowing eyes. Some things are worth the sacrifice. On Earth, Admiral Helen Carter took command of the remaining fleet. Leaders from all nations finally united under her as the void threat became clear to everyone. Lieutenant Morris will engage from the moon weapon, she told her captains. We'll provide support and try to slow them down. A captain spoke up. Can one ship really make a difference? Admiral Carter looked at the red moon. That's not just a ship up there. According to the ancient texts, it's a weapon that almost destroyed the universe once. It's our last hope. Across Earth, people watched the sky as Mars visibly darkened. The red planet was being consumed. Earth would be next. In her observatory, Lily Bennett watched through her telescope as something incredible happened. Nemesis rose completely from the moon, a massive warship unlike anything humans had built. It was black and silver, with lines of blue energy pulsing along its hull. Good luck, she whispered. Inside Nemesis, Jack sat in the control chair. His mind expanded through the ship's systems. He could feel every weapon, every engine. Guardian's knowledge flowed through him. "The first wave is almost here," he told his friends. "Get to the safety pods. This will be rough." Ryan shook his head. "We're staying with you." Jack smiled slightly, one of his few remaining human expressions. "Then hold on." Nemesis powered up, engines glowing blue against the darkness of space. The void ships approached, black shapes that seemed to absorb light. The battle for humanity was about to begin. Nemesis moved through space with impossible speed. Jack felt every turn, every boost of the engines as if they were his own muscles. "Target locked," he said, his voice echoing strangely. Firing main weapons. Bright blue beams shot from Nemesis toward the approaching void ships. Where the beams hit, the darkness shattered like glass. Jack felt a surge of hope. "It's working," Ryan shouted from behind him. "Those are just the scouts," Guardian's voice warned in Jack's mind. "The main fleet is still coming." The remaining Earth ships joined the battle, firing everything they had. Admiral Carter's voice came through the communication system. "Lieutenant Morris, your weapons are effective. We'll handle the smaller vessels. Focus on the largest ones." Jack directed Nemesis toward a massive void ship that seemed to swallow stars as it moved. As they got closer, he could see it wasn't really a ship at all. It was a swarm of smaller things moving together, like a school of fish made of darkness. "What are they?" Peter asked, looking at the screens. "They were once like the precursors," Guardian explained through Jack. "They changed themselves to survive a dying star. Now they consume everything to feed their endless hunger." Jack targeted the swarm and fired. The blue beams cut through, but the swarm quickly reformed. "We need more power," Jack said. "There is a way," Guardian told him privately. "The moon itself is a power source, built by the precursors, but using it will change you further." Jack didn't hesitate. "Do it." The red glow of the moon intensified. Streams of energy flowed from it to Nemesis. Jack screamed as the power flooded through him. Dr. Olivia rushed to his side. "His body temperature is rising. His heart is beating too fast. We're losing him." "No," Jack gasped. "I'm still here. Just different." His skin now glowed like the ship's hull. When he opened his eyes, they shone with the same light as the weapons. "Jack?" Ryan asked, not sure if his friend was still human. Jack nodded slightly. "Enough of me remains." He turned back to the controls. "And now we really fight." Nemesis glowed brighter than the sun as its weapons powered up. This time when it fired, entire sections of the Void Fleet disappeared. The swarm scattered, then regrouped and charged toward Nemesis. The impact shook the ship. Everyone except Jack was thrown to the floor. Warning lights flashed everywhere. "Hull breach in Section 5, Peter reported, picking himself up. "We're losing power to the main engines." "Rerouting," Jack said, his fingers moving across the controls faster than human eyes could follow. On Earth, people watched the battle through telescopes and satellite feeds. Flashes of blue light against the darkness of space, the red moon pulsing with each blast from Nemesis. In the White House Situation Room, military leaders watched in silence. "Will they win?" the president asked. No one answered. Colonel Lewis and Dr. Moore monitored the battle from the moon base. Lewis paced back and forth. "We should never have let Morris take control of that ship," he said. "It should have been proper military personnel." Moore looked at the screen showing Jack's transformation. No one else could have survived the integration. His DNA was somehow compatible. "By design or coincidence?" Lewis asked. "Nothing about this is coincidence," Moore replied. Inside Nemesis, Jack felt the ship taking damage. Parts of his own body hurt in response. He was becoming more ship than human with each passing minute. "We can't take much more," Ryan warned. Jack knew he was right. Despite their success against the advance fleet, sensors showed hundreds more void ships approaching. "We need to retreat and repair," Peter suggested. "No time," Jack said. This is just the first wave. We need to end this now. How? Dr. Olivia asked. Jack was silent for a moment, communing with Guardian. Then he looked at his friends with glowing eyes. There's a way, he said. Guardian has shown me deeper memories. The precursors didn't just fight the void. They created it. What? Ryan's eyes widened. Their own technology went wrong. And Nemesis wasn't just built to fight. It was built to undo their mistake. How? Peter asked. By rewriting reality, Jack said quietly. But it would erase human civilization as a side effect. His friends stared at him in horror. There has to be another way, Dr. Olivia said. As they spoke, more void ships surrounded Nemesis. The battle wasn't over. It was just beginning. Jack lay in the command chair, his body glowing brighter. The link between him and Nemesis grew stronger with each moment. Images flashed through his mind. Memories from Guardian, secrets of the precursors. I can see it all now, he said, his voice barely human. The precursors were trying to create eternal life. They made nanomachines that could rebuild any damage to living bodies. He paused as Nemesis shook from another hit. Ryan quickly rerouted power to the shields. But the machines evolved, Jack continued. They developed hunger. They started consuming everything to make more of themselves. That became the void. And Nemesis was their solution? Peter asked. Yes, Nemesis can reset time and space, create a new reality where the void never existed. Jack's glowing eyes looked at each of his friends. But it would erase everything that came after the void's creation, including humanity. Dr. Olivia moved to a console, studying the data flowing across it. There's something strange in your DNA now, Jack, she said. It's not just changing, it's revealing something that was already there. What do you mean? Ryan asked. Guardian chose Jack for a reason, Olivia explained. His genetic code has markers that match precursor DNA. Jack nodded slowly. They seeded Earth, planted their DNA in early humans. They knew someone compatible would be needed when the void returned. The ship rocked violently as more void vessels attacked. A large screen showed Earth's fleet being pushed back. The void was winning. We need to decide, Jack said. I can activate Nemesis's reality engine now, while we still have power. It would rewrite everything, undo the void's existence. But erase humanity, Ryan finished. Yes. Silence filled the command room. Outside, the battle raged. Earth ships exploded one after another. The void moved closer to Earth. There must be another way, Peter insisted. Jack closed his eyes, diving deeper into Guardian's memories. He pushed past the surface data, searching for something hidden. Wait, he said suddenly. There is something else. A third option. His friends leaned closer. The void consumes because it can't communicate. It doesn't understand what it destroys. It only knows hunger. Jack opened his eyes, now pulsing with energy. Nemesis was built with a bridge function, a way to connect minds across species. You want to talk to the void? Ryan asked in disbelief. Not talk. Join with it. Share human consciousness with it. Make it understand what it's destroying. Dr. Olivia shook her head. That would kill you, Jack. Your mind would be torn apart. Maybe. Or maybe I become something new. Jack looked at the battle outside. It's our only chance to save Earth without erasing history. On Earth, Admiral Carter watched her fleet dying. The largest void ships were now visible from Earth without telescopes. Dark shapes eating the stars. We can't hold them much longer, her second-in-command said. We just need to buy Morris time, she replied, though she didn't know what the lieutenant planned. In her observatory, Lily Bennett tracked Nemesis as it moved to the center of the void fleet. The ship glowed brighter than any star. What are they doing? She whispered. Inside Nemesis, Jack prepared for his final mission. He disconnected tubes and wires from his body, standing on shaking legs. Jack, you can barely walk, Ryan protested. There has to be another way. There isn't. Jack smiled, a strange sight on his transformed face. Guardian agrees this might work. The precursors never tried connecting with the void. They only fought it. Dr. Olivia ran a final scan on Jack. Your human cells are now less than 50%. I don't know what you'll become if this works. Something new, Jack said simply. Something needed. Jack hugged each of his friends. His skin burned with energy, but they held him anyway. Get to the escape pods, he told them. Return to Earth. Tell them what happened here. We're not leaving you, Ryan insisted. You have to. Someone needs to remember. Jack looked at the red moon visible through the window. And someone needs to look for me among the stars when this is over. Ryan nodded, fighting back tears. We will. Jack walked to a special chamber at the heart of Nemesis. As the door closed behind him, he sent one last message to his friends. See you in the stars. Jack stood in the heart of Nemesis, surrounded by pulsing light. His body was more energy than flesh now. Guardian's presence filled his mind. Are you ready? Guardian asked. Yes, Jack replied. Begin the bridge. Outside, Ryan, Peter, and Dr. Olivia watched from the escape pod as Nemesis began to change. The massive ship glowed brighter and brighter. Its solid form started to break apart, becoming a sphere of pure energy. It's beautiful, Olivia whispered. Inside that sphere, Jack felt his consciousness expanding. His memories stretched out like threads. His childhood on Earth, his years in the Navy, his friends, his hopes, his loves, his fears, all of it became part of the energy field. Reaching out to the void now, Guardian's voice said, fading as it merged with Jack's mind. Jack sent his consciousness toward the nearest void ship. At first, there was resistance, like hitting a wall of cold darkness. Then he pushed harder, using Nemesis' power. He broke through. The void's mind hit him like a tidal wave. Endless hunger, loneliness, fear. It had no words, only feelings and needs. It consumed because it didn't know how to do anything else. I see you, Jack thought. And now you will see me. He opened his memories to the void, showed it Earth's oceans and forests, shared the feeling of rain on skin, the taste of food, the sound of music, the warmth of friendship, the power of love. Things the void had never known. In space, the battle stopped. The void ships froze in place. The dark swarms paused their attack. On Earth, people watched in wonder as the red moon turned white, then blue, then back to its normal silver. Nemesis was now just a ball of light between Earth and the void fleet. In the White House Situation Room, Admiral Carter received reports from her remaining ships. The void vessels are retreating, an officer said in disbelief. All of them. They're moving back toward deep space. What about Nemesis? The president asked. What about Lieutenant Morris? No one had an answer. In the escape pod, Ryan watched the ball of energy that had been Nemesis and Jack. Tears ran down his face. He did it, he said. He made them understand. The energy sphere pulsed one final time, then exploded outward in a wave of blue light that washed over the solar system. When it passed, Nemesis was gone. And so was Jack Morris. 1 year later, Ryan Clark stood on the observation deck of the U.S. Carter, Earth's newest exploration vessel. He wore a captain's uniform now. Captain, Peter called from his communication station. We're receiving that signal again. Ryan walked over quickly. For months, they had been tracking this strange signal from deep space, a pattern that matched Jack's neural signature. Location? Ryan asked. Alpha Centauri system, Peter replied. It's definitely getting stronger. Dr. Olivia joined them, looking at the readings. It has the same energy signature as Nemesis, but different somehow. More balanced. Ryan nodded, looking out at the stars. He's out there. Not human anymore, but not gone either. Admiral Bell, now director of Earth's new Space Exploration Division, entered the bridge. Are we ready to make the jump? She asked. After the Void's retreat, Earth had discovered leftover precursor technology. They had built new ships using this knowledge. The U.S. Carter was the first that could travel faster than light. "Ready, Admiral," Ryan confirmed. "Course set for Alpha Centauri." Bell looked around at the crew, humans from every nation working together. The Void threat had united Earth in ways nothing else could have. "Then let's go find our friend," she said. Ryan gave the order, and the ship's engines powered up. On the main screen, stars stretched into lines as they jumped to faster-than-light speed. Somewhere ahead, Jack waited. Not human, not ship, but something new. A bridge between worlds. As Earth faded behind them, Ryan thought about the ancient warnings about the Blood Moon and the forbidden warship. They hadn't been warnings of doom, but signposts to humanity's next step. The stars welcomed them as they journeyed to find what Jack had become. And somewhere in the vastness of space, Jack Morris, now more than human but still himself, felt them coming. He waited, patient among the stars, ready to show humanity its new place in the universe.